Hey YouTube, Mark Kaufman here, and today I want to talk to you about this really interesting Victorinox model. This is the Victorinox Rover, and this is a discontinued knife from Victorinox. This knife is 58 millimeters tall, and it contains a few interesting tools that I found interesting for myself. That's why I actually bought 3 of these. I bought these 3 in a knife lot on eBay for $14. And I really feel like that is a pretty good deal, especially when you consider that a brand new Rally is about, I think it's about $17, 15 bucks. Now, this knife here is very similar to the Rally. This one here is the Rover, and it has, instead of a Phillips head, it has a flathead screwdriver here. Now, I know what you're saying. You could just buy yourself a classic, right? Now, I actually don't have a classic SD. Oh, yes, I do. I have actually a broker here, but it's essentially a classic, and the classic has a flathead here, so you would cut that off and then you'd have a flathead there. So for me personally, this is a very thin knife. It is essentially 58 millimeters, but it's very similar to this. However, instead of just having that flathead on your classic SD, you get a flathead screwdriver here, but you also get a wire stripper and you get a cap lifter. So for me personally, this has a lot of uses. Now I carry, and I can't remember if it's called, I don't think it's called the Rally. It has the set of scissors. So you have the Phillips, then you have a scissors, and then you have the nail file, nail cleaner, and then you have the knife blade. And I just, for the life of me, can't think of the name of that tool. I've just gone blank there. So if you know it, leave a comment down below. I'm probably going to put it in the description of what it was. But this one here has this interesting flathead. Now, what's nice about this flathead screwdriver is that you can actually sharpen it if you need to. You have a bevel there, and you could file that down if you messed up the tip here. So you could continuously file this down, probably down to here, without having any issues and still having a nail nick. Now, what else you get on this knife is you get your standard 58 millimeter knife blade, and then you get your nail file and nail cleaner. This one here is a green one. These, I had no real choice on what I got, but I'm actually really happy he sent a green, a blue, and then this aqua colored one. I feel like they fit kind of together in their color scheme and fit really nicely in the gradient color change there. So what I want to point out here, though, is that Victorinox actually made 2 versions of the Rover. Now, the Rover here, this tool stayed the same. But when it came to the knife blade itself, Victorinox actually made 2. And they made this one, which I see a lot more with the Pepsid commercialized handle scales. And that is the one with the emergency blade. This is a very small Wharncliffe blade, and Victorinox calls it the emergency blade. Probably because this can probably do some very fine cuts into skin if you were to have an emergency out on the road, or if somebody needed some medical attention. You can get that stupid sharp and it would probably slice through flesh very quickly. But I found it very interesting because it is great for doing cuts into paper. If you had to do a fine cut or do a fine cut in between 2 pieces of cloth, you can get in there with that very fine point very easily. However, you do lose quite a bit of blade length. You lose about 1.5 millimeters of blade length. And for me, on a knife this size at 58 millimeters in the handle, losing that amount of length kind of is a kind of a buzzkill there. But there are two versions, so you can keep your eyes out for this one if you're specifically looking for that blade. However, in a lot of cases, these knives are usually heavily abused and are really not really cared for in any way. This one actually has a little bit of a bend in the tip, and I may grind this down a little further just to get rid of that bend if I can't straighten it out. But this here I think will sharpen up very well, and I'll probably put it on a spare set of keys in the house. Probably will remove the branding on all of these. I'm not really into that. I know there are Victorinox collectors that collect specific brands or specific companies, but I mean, for me, I'm not really a fan. I try to remove them when I can, and when I cannot, then I'm just kind of stuck with them. So for me, this was kind of a nice little pickup. You can get these in lots on eBay for practically nothing, and you gain a very useful little keychain tool. However, this here, I know why Victorinox got rid of this flathead. Because you have the classic SD nail file setup, I don't see the point in having that if you can gain a Phillips head screwdriver and then have the flathead on your nail file. So for me, this was kind of like, why do that? Then put, you know, it just didn't make a lot of sense. However, for me, at work, I do use these small flathead screwdrivers to open up case backs and to open up small screws in watches, and I use them to tighten up my wife's glasses. So for me, having this one that I can actually sharpen made a lot of sense to have in the house, and maybe one at a drawer at work if I maybe misplaced a screwdriver or just needed to do a very quick job. So for me, I think this is a very interesting knife. I think you can pick these up for like $4 or $5. They're very cheap on eBay. You do not really need to pay a lot for getting one of these, but I find them to be a very interesting knife and one that has been discontinued, sadly. So if you guys like this review and discussion on the Victorinox Rover, let me know down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I have been primarily focusing on Victorinox knives, but I have some different brands and some different projects coming up, and I hope you guys will stick around for those this coming year. So till the next one, I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.